Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Really understand methodology and fundamentals.
Well, one of the biggest advantages to this is you're the guy that they call when the mess has been made and you have to come back and clean it up. And I've been there and I know how that feels, right? What you'd rather do is the reason I started my radio show in 2011, I'd never been on the radio before. The reason I started my radio show was out of frustration. People were losing their houses right and left to foreclosure. And they were coming to me and going, well, you figured everything else out in the past. You can figure this out for me. Okay, right? If I had had a chance to get ahead of that and had a chance to talk to them before they dug this hole, right? It would have been a different outcome. And we would have been in a different place. It's hard to describe to people what it's like when you get that call that their sister has passed away and their sister who just passed away was the only owner of the property and she owes now more on the property than it's worth. And your job is to come in and clean it up. And you end up working with a reverse mortgage company that doesn't know what a short sale is. Okay. So now, right now it's a complete, and I'm just throwing this out there, but it's a completely different situation. So like you said, it's a lot less draining on you and your organization if you're getting less of those calls where they've already dug the hole and you got to help them get out of it, versus it's probably not a foreclosure, but it's a situation where you've got to help them try and figure it out. It's a lot less taxing if you can get a hold of them ahead of time. That's why the book is so brilliant, right? And give them the data that they need so that they don't end up here where you have to try and grab your shovel and dig them out of a hole. So you wrote, go ahead.
I was going to say that's you are 100% accurate, and I get both that come to me, and I'm glad either way. It's kind of like on any profession, like you've got everybody in this big, life's a big bell curve, right? Yeah. And most people are sitting right in the middle of this bell curve, and so for me, it's kind of like, how can I help the people? There are people that are going to just stay in the bell curve. They're not going to care. Yeah. And those are the people who are going to keep negative cash flowing. They're going to be selling their assets because they don't want to deal with it anymore because they just don't understand it. But there are going to be those people who go and get the learning done and the education done so that they can move out of the bell curve and get in with this grouping of outliers, right? And that grouping of outliers is what I tell people, that's where you want to be. Yeah. If you're going to do something, be really good at it. Understand the fundamentals. Be a pro. Be an outlier in that space.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that leads us perfectly into your other book. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, the outlier mindset. Both of these have come out within the last 12 months, and it's kind of my baby. It's kind of my life work, the outlier mindset, because like I was saying, life is that big bell curve. And that's whatever you do. It doesn't matter what it is in life, right? On the left side you've got left side outliers. They're not your good outliers. They're the people who are outliers, but they're doing everything wrong, doing bad, sitting in prison, whatever it might be. You've got most of the world sitting in the middle, right? Getting up, maybe doing what they kind of like doing, but maybe they feel like they have to be doing. And I totally get it, because maybe you've got that mortgage, maybe you've got those car payments, you've built this life around things and you're kind of stuck in that curve. And then you've got the outliers out here. And these are the people who are aligned with what they want to be doing in life. They've found their purpose, and then they're just doubling down and doing everything they can. I mean, like for me, I love getting up in life, man. I love getting up every single day because I'm doing exactly what I love to be doing. I'm doing it exactly how I'd like to be doing it. And, you do really well out there. A lot of people are afraid to get out there, but that's where your millionaires are made. That's where your highly successful business people are sitting. That's where your innovators are sitting. All these incredible stacks of people are sitting in that outlier, but most of us are afraid to move out. Yeah. So the book is about how do we get you out of that, get you aligned with your purpose, get you outside of that curve, and get you into that outlier space.
Yeah. So what are the fundamentals to getting somebody out of that bell curve?
Well, first thing is they have to want to get out of the bell curve, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
it's totally, yeah, I agree.
100%. When you get up in life, you got to go. The first thing that you got to do, if you're ever going to be an outlier, you really got to figure out what's important to me.
Mhm.
And then how can I build my life by my own design around what I want to be doing, how I want to look when I get up in the morning, how I want to feel when I get up in the morning, what I want to do when I get up in the morning, how I want to live out my days. It all comes back to number one, you got to take that time to do some really inward work, the dark work, if you will.
Yeah.
Shut yourself in that room, really figure out, is what I'm doing right now important to me? And it might be you might already be aligned with purpose, but I'll tell you what, I think they say that less than 5% are. I think they say 10% know what their purpose is and less than 5% are actually executing on it.
Yeah.
So that's where the work has got to start. And then once you have that, then it's starting to build that life by design, to sit there and go, okay, then what is it? And for me, for an example, I've got what I call my sacred check boxes.
Mhm.
So I've got 4 things in my life that are important to me. And if I'm getting up and I'm doing something that doesn't check one of those 4 boxes, I don't do it.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurs have a real hard time of saying no.
Yes.
We see money. We put profit before purpose.
Mhm.
And we think we're going to make all kinds of money that way. But if you switch it and you start putting purpose before profit, that's when you're really aligned in life. And you will make so much more money chasing things if you put your purpose before your profit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And you'll be happier. You'll be more
100%.
fulfilled, right? The whole thing. Yeah, it's it's interesting. I heard we had a guest on our podcast the other day quote a statistic, and it's that there some 86% of managers and workers are disconnected
Hmm.
from their workplace. They're just completely not involved. They're not, right? Oh my goodness. I mean, that means 14% are,
Yeah.
right? So those
Yeah.
numbers you're talking about, they're spot on, man. They're spot on. There's all those people, that 86% are people that I would submit to you are in the bell curve and they're stuck there.
Mm-hmm. No,
That's why
you're
that's why what
totally.
you're doing is so important.
Well, and it's, the thing about it is, it's like I was there once. So I've always been an entrepreneur, but
Yeah.
like I would say back in maybe 2009, I was the guy who was doing all these rich dad, poor dad philosophies where I was
Mhm.
buying cash flows, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to go out, I'm just going to buy a cash flow. I'm going to put people into place to manage it. And so the only thing I was looking at that point is, okay, what kind of cash flow could we generate from this
Right.
business? Go in, look at the cash flows, figure out if I wanted to do it, see if it made sense. And, at one time I had 13 companies going at once,
Mhm.
and really only one of them at that time was meaningful to me.
Right.
And so, they did fine. They did okay, but it wasn't treating me inside well. So
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was burning out. I was frustrated. I didn't like my days. I didn't like what it looked like. I didn't like how I was surrounded by people that weren't bad people, but they weren't just aligned with who I was, my purpose, my mission, my goals.
Right.
And it took me 5, 6, 7 years to unweave that web, sell all those companies, unweave the webs of my life
Mhm.
that just kind of went away while I took everything that I had built and then sold, got rid of a couple of them, those kind of things. But at the end of the day, what I want to teach people is how to avoid that trap.
Right. Right.
How can I help you not waste that 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever years that is,
Mhm.
doing the stuff that you just weren't meant to be doing?
Yeah.
And then wondering why you're so frustrated when you're doing it. I want to
Yeah.
help people get through that trap.
Well, it wears on you,
Oh yeah.
right? It wears on you because you get to a place, and I've been there. I've absolutely been there. I started a company. The intent of starting the company was it was an investment. It was something I was going to be hands off. I ended up running it every day. I
Mhm.
was miserable. I didn't, it affected my relationships. Right? And I worked really, really hard for it to not do that, but it did. And I wasn't in my purpose.
Mhm.
I wasn't. I was, literally living somebody else's purpose. And you get to a place to where you know, it's rough. It's really rough. And the beautiful thing about what you're doing with your outlier book is you're helping people to clarify things and figure out what's your big why,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
what does your big why translate into what's in your purpose?
Well, and literally step one is
Yeah.
the why, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and then I also, you'll see in the book, The Outlier Mindset, you'll have the fundamentals behind it. You still got to do the next steps. Okay, now that I've got that, you got to do the work,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so many people, it's hard. It's when you're sitting in the middle of that bell curve, life can be kind of easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of an easier choice to make than living out here on the periphery.
And a lot of people don't realize that's the comfort zone, right? That's the comfort zone. But it's
Yeah.
also a place where you're stuck, right?
Yeah, and you get more stuck and more
Yeah.
stuck as life goes on because,
Yeah,
like
you
I said,
just
you got
keep
that
digging
house
the
payment,
hole.
you
Yeah.
got the car payment. I
Yeah.
got kids, and I don't know about you, but kids are not cheap.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you could just send your
Yep.
kid to mine's going out to San Diego State right now, and
Is he?
she hit me up the other day and said, "Hey, Dad, we got to get a check to SDSU." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
geez,
we
okay,
do. Yeah, we
let's do
do.
it."
Yeah, we got to pay. Got to pay SDSU.
But you gotta be willing to do that work. You gotta go out of that comfort zone. If it means enough to you, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And it might be a side hustle at first. You might say, this is who I am. I've got all these other responsibilities. I can't just walk from my job. And I tell people that all the time. You don't have to just walk away from a job.
Right.
Number one, maybe you can find your purpose in your job. Maybe it's sitting there in a different position. Maybe you're just, it's kind of like not everybody's an entrepreneur who's
Right.
an outlier. It's like that guy who's trying to cure cancer. He's
Mhm.
probably not going to go home, start a business and try to cure cancer. He's probably going to find a research facility where
Mhm.
they're well funded, where they've got intelligent people, where he can be incredible at trying to cure for cancer.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and start a business. But if you are that person, it can be your side hustle.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with starting a side hustle and then have that side hustle make you have to quit that job eventually.
Yeah,
Let
exactly.
that job be your biggest funder until it makes you have to quit it.
Yeah. We're literally in the middle of mine right now. We're
Mm,
literally right now, you and me, we're in my purpose. This is
yes.
exactly what I was made to do. And this started out as an absolute side hustle.
Mm,
Here's the
yes.
thing. I've interviewed, you know this from before we hit record. This is episode 273. I've interviewed 273 people, and some of them have some of the most amazing life stories, right? Where they felt like they had to get to a certain level, they had to work for this person who was this icon in the industry that they wanted to be in. And so they would work nights and work during the day for free. They'd work nights to make ends meet. They'd work during the day for free just so they could work for this iconic person in this industry,
Yeah.
right? The power of mentorship.
Yeah.
And it's like some of these people who have succeeded at amazing levels like you have gone through that process. They've gone through figuring out what their purpose is, and they figured it out based on no matter what life threw at them, no matter how many no's, how many doors were slammed in their face, right? They figured out a way to turn it into a yes. It's the champion mentality, right?
Yes.
And when you find what your purpose is and you find what you do that aligns with your purpose, the rest of it's just history. It's just getting there, right? It's figuring it out. And that's the beauty of your book is your book literally gives people step by step the process they need to go through to find that and to get there.
Yeah. And, we broke it down. You hit on one of the out of the 7, you hit on a second pillar when
Mhm.
you're talking about one of it's about tribe,
Yeah.
right? And the people that you surround yourself with. And, when you wake up every day, if you keep surrounding yourself with the people that keep you where you don't want to be, sometimes it's hard, but then it's also important to make that change.
Yeah.
Get around the people who think not like you, not exactly like you. You want varying different opinions. That's how we grow. And that's how we educate ourselves, by being in a room of smart people.
Right.
Uh, but you got to really be conscientious about the types of people who you're bringing into your life.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're getting rid of the toxic people that are coming in, that are telling you every reason that you can't, or why you shouldn't, or that you're not good enough, or that you're not smart enough, or whatever it might be. You got to eliminate those people and
Yeah.
start getting in those rooms of people who believe in themselves, and they're going to believe in you just like they believe in themselves, but they're also going to have these pieces of wisdom that they're going to put into you, just like you talking to 200 some people, right? Think about the amount of wisdom that has come through you through interviewing on this podcast to be able to say, oh my gosh, that person has such a great point. Oh my gosh, this person brought a incredible fundamental that I had no idea about. It's kind of like putting the people in the room around you really helps you get into that outlier space much quicker than the people that you're probably have in your life right now that don't want you to leave that space.
Well, what we're doing is we're building a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, to be honest with you, I never thought of it that way. I just didn't. What I thought of was I'm gonna start a podcast. I'm gonna gather people's life stories. And in doing so, it's been amazing. It's been absolutely, and some of these stories are like, I did one the other day, and I after we finished, I paraphrased this gentleman's story, this guest story, to my wife, and she said, "That's not a life story, Mike. That's a movie."
Yeah.
Right? And they're just the things that people overcome in order to get to where they are today, much like you did, right? The things that you overcome, the things that the process you go through. I mean, the beautiful thing about what you're doing is you're taking a lot of the wisdom that you've accumulated over the years through a lot of hard knocks, right? I mean, life has knocked you down a few times, right? And you've had to pick yourself back up. The thing about it is you've taken that and you've learned those lessons, and then you've written a book so that people can benefit from that wisdom.
Well, and everybody's got that story. I mean,
Yeah.
they say that you're best set up to serve the person that you once were.
Yeah.
Right. So that's for me. How can I help people avoid some of these mistakes, these learning things? And I call it evolving exponentially. One of our trademarks is Evolve X. How can I evolve exponentially in life? And for me, it's like, how can I take somebody who would have a 5-year learning curve and make it a 1-year learning curve?
Yeah.
How can I take a process or a program that somebody, if they go out and take hard knocks, like I took those hard knocks, it's going to take them 5 to 10 years. But if I can teach them how to get over those obstacles and to learn early on and help them avoid a chunk of those hard knocks, maybe I can add 5 to 10 more years of productive life into a person. And that excites me.
Yeah.
That excites me if I can do that for somebody, because I did have mentorship and I had people who taught me a number of things, but man, I wish I could go back and change just a few of those fundamentals that I'm teaching right now. If I would have known that, where would have I been? And I don't have any regrets. I mean, I get up in life and I love life. But man, I just think it's anything that we can do to help people grow and evolve as exponentially as possible. I think we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And we should be doing that.
Yes.
We should be doing that. You know,
100%.
one of the running themes in this podcast and all these stories are the mentors that come in and out of people's lives. Right? And we call it paying it forward, where in honor of the mentors that have come in and out of your life and in and out of my life, if we see somebody that's maybe off track or see somebody that's maybe having a tough time or struggling, we don't have the time a lot of times, but the mentors that came into my life didn't have time either. Okay. They didn't have time to stop and to spend the time to help me redirect this way or you with me?
Yep.
We owe it to their memory. We owe it to the honor of them to stop and do that.
100%. And that's one of the other pillars in the book. We talk about serving, leading with service. So many people go into situations and it's like, what can I take from this relationship?
Right.
What can I take out of this? What can that we live in a society where there's so many takers. And I will tell you one thing, if you are sitting there every single day and you're leading with the service, not what can I do for me, Mike, not what you can do for me today, but what can I do to serve you? What can I do to serve your audience? What can I do to serve the people that are around me? That's how you're really successful. It's not about how much I can accumulate and how much I can take, Because like I said earlier, the world is an abundant place.
Yeah.
There's
No, I
enough
totally
for
agree.
everybody.
Yeah, I
We
totally
just
agree
gotta
with that.
teach it.
And the single most popular question that people ask me after we stop recording the podcast episode is, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
It's unreal. And some of these people are some of the busiest people you've ever met in your life. They don't have 3 seconds to rub together, and yet they want to know how they can help me. I mean, amazing, man.
That's why they're
Absolutely.
successful people.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. Okay, so if people want to buy your books, are they available somewhere where they can go in particular that you'd like for them to go?
Easiest place, Amazon has got them. You can go to Amazon.com. The Outlier Mindset, and then Vacation Property Secrets. If you're interested in investing in short-term vacation rentals, you can always tie into me. I'm easy to get to. My handles, nobody can spell my last name, so all of my handles are at Go Rodman.
Oh,
Which is
okay.
really easy, really simple. And then the Vacation Property Expert Network.com. If you want some of those free resources, we've got a blog there. I've got my podcast, which you're going to be a guest on here in a couple of weeks.
Excited,
Awesome.
man. I can't wait.
I can't wait to have you on either. But you can get that free spreadsheet I was talking about too, if you want to dissect cash flows. And it's got full instructions on it. And I've got some video content that can help you through that process too.
So what's the name of your podcast in case people want to listen to it?
Same as my book, Vacation Property Secrets.
Okay, perfect.
And you can watch that on YouTube, or you can go out and Spotify's got it, or Apple. You can get it any of those places.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike
My pleasure.
Experience. This has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to hook up with you on your podcast coming up quick.
Yeah,
Thanks,
same
bud.
here. Thank you.
Appreciate you, bud. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.